If you fish for speckled trout in North Carolina, you are about to take a massive 47% plus reduction to your harvest, and that's not the biggest part of the problem. That's not why I'm making this video today. We understand that sometimes you're going to have to catch less fish. Every fish that we don't kill is a fish that can spawn and make more fish, and that is a good thing. No, the reason that I'm making this video today is that you are going to take that reduction and it is not going to work. Recreational fishermen, you're going to go down to a 3-fish bag limit. This is the DMF suggestion. You will have a slot of 14 to 20 inches with one of your 3 fish being allowed to be over 26 inches per day. And you are also going to have a January-February closure. Now, as some of you may know, I sat on the Speckled Trout Advisory Committee, and myself, as well as the rest of the AC members, including the commercial AC members, did not suggest this. Doug Cross, in fact, who is a very outspoken, commercial person, said that he did not want to see the bag limit reduced either. So we found a way to modify the slot, making it 16 to 20 with 1 over 24, no closed season, and it was actually going to make the reduction necessary. I have no idea why Division seems to have ignored us and come out with the suggestion that they have, but that is where we are now. So the largest concern that I have is actually the stuff on the commercial side. And I know if you're a commercial fisherman, look, it always feels like we're coming after you, but if you would just hear me out, this is what we're going to see happen, okay? So currently, as it stands, recreational fishermen take 85% of the trout. Between our harvest and our dead discards, we do the vast majority of the damage. There is no question about this. The commercial fishery does about 15% of the removals. The problem that we're going to have is that the commercial fishery setting gill nets, you simply cannot abide by a slot. They're going to catch those fish, and it wouldn't make any sense to make them turn back a bunch of dead fish that are over 20 inches. Now, why does the commercial fishery only catch 15%? Much like with flounder, a lot of the reason that the recreational sector only took 10% of the flounder was simply that they were not available. And we've actually seen this problem since we have made flounder reductions. Recreational impact can actually go up as the commercial fishery pulls back, simply because there are more flounder there for us to catch and for us to have dead discards through. So we fully expect to see the same thing. What do you think will happen when all of the over 20-inch trout that the recreational sector is now releasing are in the water, and yet commercial pressure will be in the same place? The gill nets are very, very good at catching fish. We talked about this on the advisory committee. The same mesh size in some of the samples caught trout from 16 inches all the way up to around 34 inches. And this was not a very large sample. So the gill nets for speckled trout are just not very good at catching a specific size class of fish. This is not, anybody's fault in particularly. It's just the nature of how the mesh works for speckled trout. Now, I know I have spoken with some commercial guys that do not feel this way, and I hear you guys, but again, going back to the DMF data, that is what we have to play ball by. I don't always like it either, but this is what is going to happen going forward. So, obviously, when there are more trout over 20 inches in the water, we are actually going to see the commercial take increase by pounds. All right. I don't hate the commercial fishery taking some trout. I don't have an issue with this. The issue that I have is that if the reduction from the commercial side actually becomes an increase in harvest, that we are not going to make that overall reduction, and we are going to go down the same exact road as flounder. So now what can we do? So this is what you need to know. Many of you that have followed the channel for a while, you need to keep in mind that today's video is very different than a normal video. Today's video is not about the big changes that we want to see in fisheries to fix our management system. Today's video is about the coming months. It is about our immediate future with speckled trout, with decisions, one meeting of which is going to happen in this very same month. It is going to happen very soon. So this is not about the big changes that we want to see. This is about the immediate future and trying to work with the system that we have in place to make sure that we are not all shooting ourselves in the foot, both recreational and commercial, okay? If you're commercial, this is not going to work out for you either. You know, just like what happened with flounder, if we do not make these reductions, then we will be back in the same room in 5 years, and it is going to be completely closed. We will go the same route as flounder. There's absolutely no reason to believe that this won't happen. So what can we do to fix this? Well, without trying to take away a gill net, which is obviously something that it is not going to happen inside of our current management system, as well as it would affect multiple species, obviously for the commercial guys. So this would be completely unacceptable, of course, to them, because it wouldn't just affect trout. It would affect striped mullet and red drum and black drum and everything that these guys do who set nets. So this is not going to happen within the current management system. What we can do to ensure that everybody does their part is two things at the same time. And the guys, for commercial guys who think I'm just coming after you, we will put these same suggestions toward the recreational side, okay? What we can do for the commercial sector is put a quota in place, okay? So we can take a number, an estimate of the commercial harvest over the last several years, the estimated catch of the commercial harvest, and we can place a cap which reduces by 40%, right? Now, the recreational sector is taking 47% plus. We can talk about that number. You know, I think it would be very fair to ask for 40%, maybe the same 47. That is something to be discussed in those rooms. But the important part is really just making sure that we actually make the reduction so we don't wind up closed, okay? So a quota is the first thing to go in place. Now, and these are both things that the division has brought up as possibilities, okay? Quotas are something that is already used, as well as the second piece, and that is adaptive management, okay? So the biggest problem the commercial guys bring up over and over again is the recreational discards. And this is absolutely a real thing. Now, while I have a problem with them calling us out for our discards while we still have inshore trawling, I can respect the fact that we are killing fish, right? One less fish in the water is one less fish that can spawn and make more babies. And a fish spawning and making more babies for the future is good for me. It's good for you, whoever you are in North Carolina. It works for everyone. So that's what we want. We want to make sure we hit that reduction. So the second part is adaptive management. And exactly how we define adaptive management is really up to the people. There are a lot of things that we can do with that, but basically what we do in it is we allow the director of the DMF to, just like it sounds, adaptively manage the fishery. So instead of having to wait another 5 years for the next FMP to come around, the director can step in, and depending on what sort of criteria we decide on, she can make new adjustments to our regulations throughout the year to make sure that we make the cutoff that we're supposed to. Because if we wait until we wind up 5 years down the road and this hole is dug much deeper, the restrictions are going to be far worse than getting out ahead of this, okay? And as adaptive management goes on, that is something we can work with more and more. So again, guys, if you don't understand this, this is just for the sake of time today. I will put a video out that explains this all in great detail, but just understand, if we're releasing all our over 20 fish, they are going to find the mesh an awful lot, and it is going to cause us not to meet the reduction. This is not me going after the commercial fishery. I am fully ready to take my licks. I just need you guys to as well, and what we are putting in place right now is not going to guarantee that. This is going to take away from the recreational fishermen. It is going to give to the commercial fishermen. And it is not that part that I even necessarily hate as much. I don't feel like that's right, most certainly, taking from one group and giving to another. But the big problem here is just shooting ourselves in the foot, not making the reduction at all, and then everybody gets screwed over. So what can we do to do anything about this? All right, number one, we are going to reach out to the Marine Fisheries Commission Chair, Rob Bizzle, and we are going to humbly request that he make it so that we can call in to these MFC meetings to make our voice heard. And what we will call for when we call in is two things. We would like to see a quota on the commercial fishery, and we would like to see adaptive management put in place that applies uniformly to both COM and REC and allows the division to really get in between and really just do what is necessary to protect the stock from both sectors. Okay, it's really the only way to sort of get rid of a lot of a bad blood. And I know a lot of people, you don't trust the division, and you have very good reasons not to trust the division, but they will do what is necessary to make sure we're making the reductions. Okay, they are the closest to all this data. They are able to see the numbers. They're able to see where we're going. And if we don't do this, we have no other way of managing these fisheries without waiting that 4 or 5 years or however long it is for the next FMP. And if we do like the federal government does with our debt and we kick the can down the road, it is going to bite us all in the butt. So please, the first step is to be able to get our voices heard better. The meetings later this month is going to happen in Raleigh, and I cannot attend that, but I would love to speak and I would love to have my voice heard. And if many of us show up and we ask for this very reasonable thing and we all ask for it together, if we say the same thing, then one of two things will happen. Either we will actually exercise real power through the commission and we will see them make a decision that is for the greater good, or the commission will simply prove that they knew what they were going to do when they walked in the door and that they do not represent the people of North Carolina. Either way, this works out for us because it either becomes ammo for this fight of how desperately we need change, or we do a good thing and we get it changed. And, the second part, after we've asked Mr. Bizzle, as well as some of our legislators, if you go down in the description, I will put a list of people on there, of emails that you can send out to people. Please feel free to email your legislators independently and let them know that it is very difficult to be able to interact with our fisheries management system. Even just for an oyster lease, you can call in to oppose an oyster lease, but you can't call in to oppose something or to promote something that is so much more important to the entire state. Okay, and the second part of that is when you do call in, when you do become active in this system, you ask very specifically for those two things. I've already given you the reasoning. We want a quota, and we would like to see adaptive management. And the reason that we would like to see this is so that we don't do the same thing we did with flounder. Folks, this is necessary. This is critical that we do this, or we are going to lose trout. And when we lose trout, we're just going to go down the list to the next species. It's already happening. We already see tons more pressure on sheephead and black drum, and there's just not that many fish left for us to keep shifting the effort into before we are in serious trouble and we're looking at just total collapse. Nobody wants to see that. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're anybody that wants to fish and participate in the fisheries of North Carolina, this is good for you. We need to make the reduction so that it doesn't get worse. Okay, so go down in the description, find the emails, send those out. We're going to reach out to Chairman Bizzle. We're going to reach out to representatives and let them know that we would like to see a system of being able to call in to speak at the Marine Fisheries Commission so that our voices can be heard. And then the second part, obviously, you have to actually call in, okay? Or you have to submit written comments. I feel like written comments are very, very easy to ignore, and I would really love to see people speaking at these commission meetings. I think it holds a lot more weight to show people that you care enough to actually speak. And for those who can, please physically show up. These are the meetings that we have coming up, and if we push hard enough for this, I do think that we can see changes put in place, very positive changes for everyone, changes made by the Marine Fisheries Commission. Folks, thank you all so much for your time. And I'm probably, after this week, I'm probably going to have a 2-week gap, maybe a little bit larger, because I am working on a much bigger project over the next coming weeks. Okay. But I'm not forgetting anybody. I'm not leaving y'all alone. I'm just working on something much bigger that's going to take much more time. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Reach out to your representatives. Tell them we need our voices to be heard in these commission meetings. Let Chairman Bizzle know that we would really like to speak, that we would like to be a part of this. And then, of course, please unify. Please unify. If we do not unify, we will not have power at this meeting. So please call for the quota for commercial, and please call for adaptive management for both sides. I think everybody can see how this is at least roughly fair. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in 2-3 weeks, something like that. Out of here.